There are moments when silence hurts more than shouting, when being unseen cuts deeper than being opposed. You can be surrounded by people and still feel abandoned, especially when the ones who should protect you seem distant or unmoved. Many hearts today carry that quiet ache, the pain of feeling overlooked, unheard, or betrayed by those closest to them. And it's in that space where love feels withheld and justice feels delayed that the story of Absalom slowly steps into view. Absalom was not born into obscurity. He was born into royalty, the son of King David himself. Handsome, admired, and gifted with natural charm, Absalom had everything on the outside. Yet beneath the surface, his life was marked by unresolved pain. When his sister Tamar was violated by their brother Amnon, David was furious, but he did nothing. No justice, no discipline, no public defense of Tamar. For Absalom, that silence planted a seed. He waited 2 long years, carrying anger that hardened into resolve, until he took matters into his own hands and killed Amnon. What followed was exile. Absalom fled, cut off from his father, living far from home while bitterness quietly matured. Eventually, David allowed Absalom to return to Jerusalem, but even then, reconciliation was incomplete. For 2 more years, Absalom lived in the same city as his father without seeing his face. The absence of restoration became fuel for rebellion. Absalom began to believe that if justice would not come from the throne, then perhaps the throne itself was the problem. Standing at the city gate, he listened to the complaints of the people, affirming their frustrations and winning their hearts. With smooth words and calculated empathy, he positioned himself as the answer to their pain, slowly stealing the loyalty of Israel away from David. What began as personal hurt expanded into national division. The rebellion reached its peak when Absalom declared himself king. David fled Jerusalem barefoot and weeping, choosing restraint over retaliation. The kingdom fractured, father against son, love against pride. In the forest of Ephraim, the inevitable battle came. Despite David's clear command to deal gently with Absalom, the young man met a tragic end caught by his hair in the branches of a tree, helpless and exposed. Joab struck him down, and when the news reached David, the victorious king collapsed in grief. His cry echoed through the palace, "O my son Absalom, my son, my son." Power could not numb that pain. A crown could not heal a broken father's heart. Absalom's story reminds us that unresolved wounds can quietly reshape a soul. Pain that is never brought into the presence of God doesn't disappear. It finds another voice. Absalom's anger was understandable, but it was never surrendered. Instead of seeking God's justice, he pursued his own, and that path slowly turned him from a wounded son into a rebellious king. When hurt is allowed to lead, it often promises relief but delivers ruin. Healing begins not when pain is justified, but when it is surrendered. There is also a sobering lesson about the danger of seeking affirmation without submission. Absalom won the hearts of the people, but he never sought the heart of God. He looked righteous at the gates while plotting rebellion in secret. Approval from others can feel like purpose, but without God's presence, it becomes a counterfeit calling. Influence without obedience is a fragile foundation, and charisma cannot replace character shaped in humility before God. The story also speaks to the high cost of incomplete reconciliation. David loved Absalom, but his hesitation to confront, discipline, and fully restore allowed distance to grow. Silence created space for bitterness, and delay gave rebellion time to mature. While we cannot control the choices of others, we are reminded that healing relationships requires courage, truth, and dependence on God. Avoiding hard conversations may feel peaceful in the moment, but it can plant seeds of greater pain later. In the end, Absalom's life is a tragedy not because he lacked opportunity, but because he lost direction. He reached for a throne when what he needed was restoration. He chased power when his soul needed the presence of God. His death stands as a warning and Invitation warning us about where pride and unresolved pain can lead and inviting us to choose a different path. God is near to the brokenhearted, but He cannot heal what we refuse to bring to Him. When wounds are placed in His hands, they can become places of redemption instead of roots of rebellion. Absalom's story urges us to pause, reflect, and choose humility over pride, surrender over control, and healing over revenge while there is still time.